Okay, now we're going to move to Center Common. This picture was, there's a nice story about Governor Greenhalgh, which is in the book. But the reason I made this picture redundant to the book is because in the book it says that this picture was taken by the Revolutionary War Monument, okay? And you can plainly see the Revolutionary War Monument in this picture, right? Well, guess what my friends at Arcadia did? They photoshopped that out of the picture. And I had a low resolution review copy and I didn't catch it. So I apologize for Arcadia. They didn't know what they were doing. So I wanted just to show you, okay, if anybody asks you that Fred is a dummy, he said there's a monument and there's no, well, it was there and you've seen it, okay? Now this is nobody has seen this unless you're around in 1949 and got the paper. This is from the Historic Commission Archives, I think. This is the back of 11 North Road. And everybody knows that Ted Emerson owned it, then the town bought it about 1974. But Ted Emerson had a couple of kids, Jim and Brad. And Jim was going to live, this is an addition, this is they called it an L, but it was another wing on the back of 11 North Road. So Jim and Brad were busy digging underneath for a foundation so they could have a basement and do a proper foundation. I guess it was just sitting on the ground. And this was going to be Jim's house for he and his family. Well, they had a little, something slipped, okay? Everybody got out of the way, but here's the picture. This is what happened to that house. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about James P. Emerson, who was Ted Emerson's grandfather. Because J.P. Emerson, there's a whole line of auctioneers, but the other thing they did was move houses. So nothing goes to waste. So what are they going to do with this wing? Move it to Fletcher Street. So if you look at, they took the top half of this building and they moved it over to Fletcher Street. And if you look at this section of building right here, that's the top half of that wing, okay? Now, this was Dr. Martin Gruber's Chelmsford Animal Hospital. Most people have pets, have been there one time or another. But so they added out this way, they put a lean-to on, and they added out this way. And I always wondered, it looks sort of like a weird building. Who would design a building like that? So unless you know where it came from, okay, now you can appreciate the shape. But you can't appreciate it anymore because Dr. Gruber died. And a fellow by the name of Fred Ramsayer bought it, and he tore it down and built this lovely facility here. And it's also called Chelmsford Animal Hospital. He happens to be my neighbor across the street, so feel free to go to his place. Yeah. That's when they first built it. It's all landscaped. It's beautiful now. And this facility on top here, generally if you have dogs and animals overnight, you need some overnight protection. That's an apartment for the live-in help. So they've got a nice deck on the back. It's living quarters. Now this, we talked about Ted Emerson. Well, there was a catastrophe, a hired hand, a lantern. They're not sure exactly how it started, but I'm pretty sure it was a hired hand that started it. 1951, it was a disastrous fire. So I have to ask, has anybody visited the history of the Chelmsford Fire Department on the town website? Not one person, okay. All right, so I would suggest if you enjoy history, as you wouldn't be here if you didn't, I guess, if you go to the town website, go to the fire department, go right at the top, it says History of the Chelmsford Fire Department. This picture happens to be in there, but the rest of the pictures I'm going to show you are not. And the rest of the pictures that are on the fire department website are not in the new book either. There were enough pictures in the fire department archives that there's no duplication, other than I wanted to show you this one because it was a very dramatic overview of the fire. There were 49 cows and 1 horse that perished. I saw the picture with cows in it, and you're not going to see it. These are some of the firefighters from East Chelmsford fighting the fire. They came in from all the fire departments, all the districts, I should say. to fight this fire, and they did get it out. They did save the house at 11 North Road, which is the one we just saw with the collapsed L in the back. And the town hall was in jeopardy. There were a lot of things, churches. Congregational church was across the street. So that's all I'm going to show you about the fire, because there are some great pictures in both this book and on the history of the fire department site. Now we're going to look at the center fire station, and that's a relevant topic today, of course. So this is when they were building it. These are non-duplicates of anything else that you're going to see. This is when they had just put in the dispatch window and the door. And now we're in 1953. They're paving the apron in front. And this is the inside. And you can see each bay has a lot of lights. Presumably they could drive the ladder truck, always went in the middle. Drive the ladder truck under. You could see it well with these lights. Well, that was fine when you had ladder trucks. The original ones before this 1962 Maxim were just trucks with ladder racks, kind of like a pickup truck with a ladder rack. So they had to take the ladders off and set them up on the buildings. That was not a problem driving in the 1952 building. This truck here fit also. As you can see at the top there, there's still clearance room. Now we have a 1985 Perch ladder truck. When they bought this, they thought they had enough room to fit it in the station. There was an emergency. They had the truck. They could not fit it in the station. The truck had to sit somewhere. I didn't catch exactly where it sat. They had to do a serious modification to that door. And you can't, I can see it. You might not see it because it's a pretty good disguise. The top section of the whole top section of that door looks like building, but it actually lifts up with the door in order to get that truck to fit. And then it went home. Then in 1999, we bought the Central States Quint. And the Quint is actually it's a pumper and a ladder truck. And you tell me, you can't even fit a fist between the top of that truck. I don't know how they do it. There's only one episode, they told me, there was only one time when somebody had left something on top and it caused some damage. Now, just to show you the door and what they had to do, this top section of the door right here actually looks like building. This whole section right here, they actually cut the ceiling away and raised the floor above in order to get the door completely up and out of the way. So this truck just barely fits in the existing ceiling height. Of course, they removed those fluorescent lights that were obviously in the way. So what happens next, they periodically have to replace these vehicles. And this is a combination pumper and ladder, so every time an engine has to go out of Station 1, that ladder has to go up because it's the pumper. That's a lot of extra wear and tear. So this Quint is almost ready for replacement. It's coming up very soon. To get a replacement, okay, if you look at this thing looks like it went through a car compactor. It's squashed right down. The driver is down almost to the middle of the tire here. It looks like, and literally it was designed specifically at much higher cost to fit into this roof. So the next time you buy, they're going to get a separate ladder and a separate pumper. And they're going to get a normal ladder. Okay, it's a lot less expensive and a lot more practical, and they're going to get plenty of overhead to install it. Okay, so where are they going to put it? Okay, this is from the photo log this Tuesday. And you can see from this truck right here, there's plenty of overhead. I'm not sure which of the bays are going to put the new ladder truck in, but there's plenty of overhead, and you can bet that door is going to be nice and high. So this is coming along very well. As I say, this is Tuesday, so you're almost up to the minute. They put the flag up, so the steel frame is all there. And actually the steel roof is there, so they've got some drier conditions to work underneath. Are there any questions on the fire station since we're switching topics here?
Isn't there kind of a discussion at the time about why don't you just buy a truck that fits into the station instead of,
Oh, you mean into the old station?
Yeah, wasn't that kind of a local type
My
thing?
understanding is it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars extra
Oh,
You saw that design, how squashed down it is?
right.
It makes it hard to maintain. They don't have the capacity to store as much equipment, the storage cabinets and so on. You don't have the space. You can't climb up on top of it while it's inside to work on it. I could go on and on and on, and I don't even work for the fire
Well,
department.
no, I would agree that they got their money's worth out of that building, but.
They did.
for less.
And the building actually, they not only got their money out of it, it's beyond its expiration date.
Yeah, that's,
If you go to the website, the fire department website, there's some pictures, and Chief Parrow, there's a picture of Chief Parrow down underneath with all the wooden blocks of wood that are holding the thing up, because the floor is literally falling apart and falling down. So, and there's no way to save it. It's too small. Yeah. Okay, so back here, sorry. This building is in the book. This picture is in the book explaining this building. Albert Davis, he was a town character, and his sister owned the house at 1 to 3 North Road, which is right next door to Town Hall. He built this workshop in back. His father died. He lived over on Davis Road. They had a family farm called Boulder Farm. He moved his family from here to Boulder Farm. So what did he do with his workshop? He sold it to James P. Emerson. And what did James P. Emerson do with it? He moved it to Fletcher Street. All right. So this actually is the inside of the front of the history book, right here. Same picture, okay? So you recognize the top of Town Hall here, and that was the original fire whistle that was on it. It was actually too loud. And there's some buildings that were identified in the town history book. And the reason was I didn't know what this building was, and I didn't know what this building was until doing the research for this book here. So now you can see where that workshop went. If you look at this building, there are 3 windows on the top and 4 windows on the bottom. And James took a barber shop that was somewhere over here on Chelmsford Street, maybe down here, not sure where, and he attached it to this building, and that is the workshop after it was moved. So then what happened? Then Albert Davis decided to move back again to 1 to 3 North Road with his sister. And he had to build another workshop because he already sold the other one to James P. Emerson. Okay, so here, I'm not sure if that's Albert, but somebody is building the first floor of the workshop. And that's Center School over in back here. And this is, as you can see, this is 1923. So all the additions had been built on Center School, and Center School was coming to the end of its life. So there's another shot. These shots, by the way, David Brow, I have to explain where these came from. David Brow grew up in that house. So after Davises moved out of the house, actually he was related to the Davises, I think. So his grandfather, not David, David's grandfather took these pictures. He had rolled up the negatives. I think they were the rejects because they were all scratched up and not well taken care of. Happily, they were saved and not thrown away because this picture right here is a gem. This is the barn right here. This is James P. Emerson's barn. It's the barn that burned. You can see it had it still had a windmill on it, even though in 1923 they didn't need the windmill. You know why? The town water came in 1913. So windmills had maintenance associated with them, so people generally took them down, although for nostalgia you could keep it up, or if you wanted to pump water for your animals, which is what they may have done here. Now here's another here's another building over here. This is a barn. And this barn is almost exact location where Phil Eliopoulos' house is at 9 North Road right now. And I just happen to know exactly what this building is. The fellow that owned the farm before James P. Emerson was named Hildreth Dutton. And Hildreth Dutton was a butcher. And this building right here was his slaughterhouse. So before 9 North Road,
It's like a barn-like structure.
yeah, it's a barn, but it is very old. Now, Hildreth Dutton, it does kind of look like a barn. They all look the same from the outside. But anyway, Hildreth owned the house from 1840 to 1860. So this is way before James P. Emerson's time. But the barn is still there, okay? Now we're getting up, James Emerson is still alive here. And it went right from James to his grandson Ted. So who was Hildreth P. Dutton? And gee, was he related to Paul Dutton, who owned the house right next door? Anybody have any? No. I'm not even going to ask because nobody's going to have a clue. Because Hildreth Dutton had a daughter, and I can show you his daughter right now. That is Hildreth P. Dutton's daughter right there. Martha Parkhurst, Martha Dutton Parkhurst. So she was Eswaldo Parkhurst's wife. Now, we're still not connected to Paul Dutton, and I will get you there in a couple of minutes. And it's a surprising relationship, but it was fun. This is the second Davis workshop, and that's what it looks like today. It was made into at least 2 apartments. I see 3 meters, but I only see 2 doors. So assume it's very well kept, and it's right next door to Town Hall, in case anybody doesn't know where it is.